two of us is fine. Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another day in the Clown Decade. I don't know why I'm starting this out like it's a video. Yes, welcome.
It's true.
It is true. It is a Clown Decade, but welcome to episode 8 of season 2 of Tosh, our little newscast over on the Worcester Club. I've just realised that I've forgotten to post you what the actual meme is, so you're probably just going to have to get it up on the stream. But it's James Lindsay giving an explanation of I can't remember what the theory's called. Hegel's theory, where you go from thesis and antithesis to a synthesis, and it's like, oh, you'll have contradictions in your thesis and antithesis, and then the synthesis will like bring all the good bits together. And it's Sonic, and then Pikachu, and then Sonichu, and it made me laugh because I literally couldn't find another relevant meme.
I mean, it does have some layers to it. I do appreciate the meme.
Well, we all love Chris Chan, don't we? So...
Love is a very loaded term, but definitely I am aware of Christian. Yes.
We are aware of Chris Chan, and we wish no ill health upon him. I think is about
and no medallions.
And no medallion. Well, the medallion's cursed, isn't it?
Well, exactly. Yeah.
Obviously, Chris Chan, things happened with him, and then you had Rakita Law ended up with a Sonic Chew, and obviously he was done for neglecting his kids and doing drugs. A
lot of coke.
Yeah, there was someone else who had one. I think iDubbbz got sent one by.
So iDubbbz?
Yeah, I think his fan sent him one in a bad unboxing, and obviously he's just an embarrassment now. He actually did another bad unboxing recently, which used to be funny episodes, but he only got it from like Amazon packages. He didn't let his fans send in like customized boxes. It's like, what's the point? The whole fun of it was you didn't know what was in them. And it could have literally been anything. Like, people sent him copies of Mein Kampf and stuff. But anyway, you get the point. It is a cursed. It's a cursed emblem, the Sonichu. But it made me laugh. So there we go. I'm trying to think of international news. All I can think is America and Russia and China are now all on the same side. That Russia was apparently not an aggressor.
There was a man who started crying.
Oh,
what was it? I think it was one of the French or EU diplomats that started crying.
Oh, after the JD Vance speech, people saying that. Yeah. I gave it credit where it's due. That was the guy's last term in the position he was in, wherever he was on the council. So that's actually why he was shedding a tear, because it was like his last speech he'd give, rather than.
Well, yeah, but now
the project's over.
But now he's going to just get remembered for just. Oh yeah, you're the one that just was crying like a little.
A little wuss.
A little wuss. Thank you. Good save.
You're welcome. Anyway, we have Tharium now. Hello, Tharium. How are you doing?
Hello there. Fine.
Yes, I don't know if you've got the stream up, but I forgot to actually post the meme to Tosh. But it's James Lindsay in front of a picture of Sonic, then Pikachu, then Sonichu as the thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Yeah. And it made me laugh. And also, to be honest with you, like, quick note, the woke right exists. I know James Lindsay's cringe, but let's be real. Like, there were people saying, oh, leftists, that their philosophy's fine, we'll just co-opt it. There were right-wingers that were open about that, and that's why James Lindsay says it. So, I guess
absolutely.
It's because, like, yeah, they're not, like, woke, isn't woke, but they operate the same way. That's the thing. I think that's where,
woke,
like,
Well, it's
the part of woke. I was going to say the part of woke that people generally don't like is the Puritanism, and it's the sort of the moral spiraling that happens. And I think that quite often, probably at least 50% of the time that people use the term woke, quite often it's just referring to that sort of moral posturing. In which case, then the woke right absolutely exists.
I think it's also. These people are quite happy to use the state to stamp on your neck to get what they want.
Yeah.
The same way as leftists do.
That definitely happens, but it's really cringe when the right do it, because that faction of the right have literally no power, and it just looks like they look like crazy fantasists.
But if you gave it to them,
yeah,
exactly. If you gave it to them, they wouldn't hesitate. They have no problem with the boot. They just want it to. They just want to be the one wearing it.
Yeah. If we're gonna name names, I think the most obvious in my mind is Scrump and Evelyn. They, how much more woke right can you get than a literal polyamorous relationship that only have men in it and some of them wear dresses?
Yeah.
I can't comment too much on it, but the part that actually for me was because most of my journey sort of started with Gamergate and the time around that. The interesting thing was the whole Goonagate, and don't worry, we won't go into it today, but it was the Goonagate stuff where the second that the tides turned, now it wasn't the left that was so back in the 90s it was the Christian conservatives coming after my Yu-Gi-Oh. I got told to throw away my Yu-Gi-Oh cards because it was bad
because they had Egyptian gods on them.
Then they had Egyptian gods on them and dark magicians in attack mode, but then it was the left saying that I guess my dark magician girl was too sexy, and then just on a dime, suddenly Stellar Blade is now the worst thing ever, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm feeling whiplash.
Yeah,
I'm feeling actual whiplash.
Maybe a lot of it's just a lot of people very jealous of very hot women. Maybe that's all of the modern era's problem. Maybe we do need to go back to the Victorian period where everyone covers up. I don't know. Anyway.
No.
No.
Can you wait at least until after Stellar Blade comes out on Steam? Let me.
We are not going Western Islam.
It's hardly Western. The Victorian period is hardly Western Islam. There were still prostitutes. They were just frowned upon.
Well.
Anyway.
There must be prostitutes in the Middle East.
Well, I mean, anyway, I was going to say international news. The only thing I can think of off the top of my head is America, Russia, and China being on the same page on something for once, which is Russia didn't do nothing.
Well,
go on.
I think it's it's his normal negotiating.
Well, everyone says this. I don't understand what he's negotiating at this point.
It is also the reality that Ukraine aren't important.
Oh no, I semi-agree with that. They're important insofar as there's some rare earth minerals within their borders, along with.
But geopolitically, they're an entity.
Kinda. I mean, to be honest, I think the West has mostly done what it needed to do with Russia anyway, which was find a cheap way to weaken their army, which is definitely achieved.
Yeah. You could say some stuff like it got Russia off the international banking system, which may help them a bit. They're a bit more independent now, but it hasn't been good for them.
Yeah.
Especially, it's embarrassing that they couldn't beat Ukraine.
Yeah, it's the mad. Again, the woke right who were all Russia simps for some really weird reason. About as close as we get in this Discord is obviously Jack, but he's not necessarily pro-Russia. He just really hates the American Empire. which he doesn't seem as bothered by now, obviously because Trump and Musk have overthrown the old establishment.
I think part of it is it's the problem with right side of history thinking, where we tend to look at history and we tend to think about things in terms of good and bad sides. And so, when you think, but just generally,
Cold War as well.
So what's the expression? I think the V sometimes says, with waffles and pancakes, you must love pancakes because you don't
the Twitter
like waffles
thing
or something.
Someone on Twitter will say I like pancakes, and you'll get a load of replies saying why do you say you hate waffles? Like that's a completely different sentence.
That's the one.
Yeah.
And I think carry on. Yeah.
Go on.
I was just summarizing that when you've got that sort of that thinking that one side has to be good and one side has to be bad. You then you kind of lose the entire value of you can't see things clearly. But that was essentially all I was going to say.
And I've had it also where simply recognizing that Russia isn't a Western liberal democracy means that you're a big Putin fan, because he is probably in the West. Putin in charge is probably the best we can expect out of Russia. Someone like him.
Probably.
It could be a whole lot worse. You could get, but just recognizing that means you're a big fan of him. I've seen from people, which is not the case.
Yeah. Well,
I think that I was going to say my completely autistic take. The closest I got into being in trouble was when I pointed out that he didn't really want to be. What was it? You can't. What's the word? Compare what he's doing to like Hitler or Stalin. It's actually closer to was it Peter the Great, the Emperor, or the Tsar?
Yeah.
And
A lot
it's
of
just
people.
like
a lot of
it's a
people
subtle
say.
thing.
Yeah, a lot of people. You often get from normies, oh, he wants to be Stalin. No, he doesn't. No,
No, he
he's
wants to be.
like you say, he's Peter the Great. If
Yeah,
that's more his thinking, yeah.
but just for a lot of people that I've spoken to, that is way too much nuance.
Well,
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
way too
Peter
much
the Great. Who's that?
yeah,
Yeah.
people just do not understand that because we're basically so materialist in the West, people cannot understand why there would be an expansionist empire for any other reason than money. It's like, no, he doesn't really care about money. He cares about effectively making a name for himself, as Peter the Great did, or Alexander the Great, or Catherine the Great, maybe as well. Yeah, which is fine, and that's can be a noble goal. I don't particularly think it is for Putin, but as you say, I don't think he's like Hitler 2.0, like the boomers think he is. But I think it's perfectly reasonable for Ukraine to fight their corner, and if it's got to a point where it's a stalemate, then is there any point throwing at more people in the meat grinder? I don't know.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, I think at that point we may as well get into the main story of the day. Keir Starmer.
There was one other thing.
Oh, go on.
That you're very sad to hear about. An enemy of the English people is dying.
What, Pope Francis?
I'm very sad.
Yeah, I know it's upset you.
As much as I've been praying for him to be in good health, I do not think he was one of our best popes. I hope his successor can do an even better job than Pope Francis did. Obviously, I'm praying for the Holy Father to make a recovery, but I've been pretty open that I've not particularly liked this pope. He is no Pope John Paul II, is what I'll say to that.
Is the next pope going to be English?
No, I don't think. Have we ever had an English pope?
There was one in like 1100. So it shows how much the Catholic Church cares about us.
I'm pretty sure we've had more Polish. Have we had more Polish popes than
probably.
And apparently, he was a good pope.
Yeah. You actually nailed that. Yeah, Pope Adrian the Fourth, apparently in 1154 to 1159. We've had an English pope for 5 years.
Yeah.
Oh, he's born in Hertfordshire. Amazing.
Safe to say.
Could you imagine doing like the liturgy, but like in a sort of broad West Country accent?
Well, you just have to go to the West Country, I guess, to hear. Well, no, actually, because you don't necessarily get priests from the local area, do you? But anyway.
Safe to say the next one will also be an enemy of the English people.
Oh, who knows?
Disavow.
He was Argentine and he wasn't the best pope. That's all I'll say.
Wait, wasn't he the one that added like the anime character?
Yeah, that wasn't like his choice. I think. I don't know where
to endorse him entirely.
Yeah, he made a little anime character to try and like get young people to the Catholic Church.
I mean, it nearly worked for me.
There you go.
I know whatever intern runs the Vatican Twitter account did like some OnlyFans girl posts on Twitter.
Sure.
I think I heard about that.
Yeah.
Goodness me. Will the next pope be diverse? I think one of the nominated cardinals is a diverse. We'll say. I think the rest of them are pretty European though. But we'll see. So
I kind of feel like sorry, just the last bit, before we actually get to the actual thing we're supposed to be talking about.
Go on.
I kind of feel like if there's any institution in the world, especially in the Western world, I feel like the Catholic Church, like the Vatican, should be the ones just biding their time for all of this woke stuff to sort of blow over so that they can get back to good old patriarchy.
That would have been the ideal, but we had an idiot pope.
Well.
Yeah. I remember went to Lords a few times, he'd always have like, oh, this will be the year of this particular virtue, and it'd be like mercy. And I still didn't really, I still looking back at it, don't really understand what it really meant. I was like doing charity work showing mercy, how, oh, because you're helping people in need, and I'm like, oh, I don't get how that's mercy, but whatever,
Yeah,
it didn't
mercy
really
is
matter.
specifically not giving somebody. What is it? It's I can't remember if it's you're digging it up now, but there's like charity and mercy or something, or
Well,
grace and mercy.
Well, that's right. Well,
Grace is
mercy.
yeah.
Mercy to me was always if you have power over someone, you well,
you don't
show
destroy
mercy.
them.
Yeah,
You're not actually giving them what they deserve, even though what they deserve might actually be a bad thing.
Not necessarily. I always took it more as you're not exacting revenge upon them. Like you're not doing an eye for an eye because instead you're showing the mercy. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway. Enough.
Anyway.
Catholicism. You'll never hear me say that again. Keir Starmer confirms defence spending to rise to 2.5% of GDP by 2027. The PM reveals plans to increase funding to a greater proportion of GDP as he prepares to meet with President Trump in Washington this week. So a couple of things here. One, this exact thing was in the Reform Manifesto, so this is another thing that they've nicked. Two, it might go into it, but this is mostly just moving around things that already exist and counting some things as defence when they weren't before, such as intelligence and espionage.
NHS?
Not the NHS. I think that would be going a bit too far.
That would be 50% of GDP.
Yeah, it would be nuts.
I'm saying, I'm saying, do we shovel money into the NHS under the title of defence?
Well, I don't think they'll get away with that.
I shouldn't give them ideas.
Well, one, don't give them ideas. Two, I don't think they get away with that. But
I should have put that on the bingo card.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting we need to check on that. Maybe we'll do that after at the end of this episode. Anyway, Britain will increase defence spending to 2.5% of GDP by 2027. The Prime Minister used a statement in the Commons to confirm a date for hitting the target as he seeks to respond to the US President's demands for NATO allies to spend more. The increase will be maintained for the rest of the Parliament, which means spending £13.4 billion more on defence every year from 2027, Starmer told MPs. In a statement letter from number 10 on Tuesday...
I just want to say, compared to American numbers of about $1 trillion a year, that just seems so small.
well, this is the whole joke of America being the world police, isn't it? It's because they are. Which everyone was fine with, but then obviously Trump comes in and says, we're not really getting a good deal out of being world police, so do it yourself. Which, honestly, is probably the best thing for Europe, to actually focus on its own defence. So, again, in a way, I'm kind of glad Trump's in, as much as it's not probably too
Jack's
quick.
Point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He's undermining American strength unintentionally.
Yeah, which is fine. I just think Jack's a bit short-sighted, and I hope that China doesn't become the new world hegemon instead. But maybe we'll have a world war over that. In a statement later from number 10, Starmer said that Britain must fight for peace. This is a significant moment. We have fought for peace through the action we have taken. I think in our heart of hearts, as we have all known, that this decision has been coming. The last 3 weeks have accelerated my thinking on when we need to make this announcement. Asked about Farage, who previously pledged to fund an increase in defence spending by cutting the foreign aid budget, Starmer said Farage didn't turn up to the debate in Parliament today. Farage is fawning over Putin. That's not patriotism. We've been through the Putin thing. Yeah. I didn't actually look into this. Why? I don't think any of Reform were in the debate today. I don't know why they'd bother being in the debate when they agree with the government. That's the first thing I'd say. But I didn't actually see, because I think all of them missed it, and I'm not really sure why. Tory Rebuttal might know, but he might be snide about it. Poland, Balkans, Finland are the only European countries to take defence seriously. Well, they would be, wouldn't they? They're right next to the big bear.
Winter War 2.0.
I mean, look at him. He says it like country by percentage. Poland right at the top, Estonia right at the top, Latvia right at the top. Well, to be fair, those two are poor. Greece is Greece is quite poor, so that kind of makes sense as well. Then you get to us, to be fair, then Finland, Denmark. Oh, UK present, sorry. We're still quite high though, to be fair.
Yeah, everyone's bumped it up a bit. Like Germany and France used to be about 1.5%.
Yeah, France at 2.1 now, Germany 2.1. Yeah, they're slowly going up. And again, that was from the Trump first term. Oh, Tory rebuttal. Do you know why?
No, I think their increase all happened after the Russian invasion.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense. Tory rebuttal, do you know why the Reform MPs weren't at the debate today for defence budget? That was all. The government will also set out a clear ambition for defence spending to rise to 3% of GDP in the next Parliament, subject to economic and fiscal conditions. Yeah, that's fine. The PM has pressed by military chiefs and Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the Tory party, to go significantly further. I find it so funny all the time, because every time you see, the Tories think that Labour should go further with this slightly right-wing thing, it's like, you had 14 years. 14 years? You know that.
Yep.
The best thing they could probably say is that, we gave a load of aid to Ukraine, which could probably save them there. But, yeah.
I mean, really, there's nothing they can say.
Yeah.
With that.
Yeah. Well, as Tory Rebuttal said, there was a poll out today where the Lib Dems are coming up to the Tories, and he said if Lib Dems take third from Tories, he'll just start Fed posting in real life. Which I cannot wait for. They're at the Cornwall.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
So the Reform lot were at the Cornwall conference. So again, as I said before, if Labour are doing something that Reform had in their contract anyway, it's hardly a mark against them. They weren't at the debate for something they were in favour of from a government with 400 seats. Anyway, seriously, what are they going to do in there? We agree with this government. They're copying our contract. It'd just be more embarrassing for the Labour, if anything. Trump previously called for NATO allies to spend 5% on defence. I didn't realise it was that high. I thought it was only 3%.
Wow. I think he wanted. He started I think he was kind of bloviating a little bit, but he's just saying, maybe they should be spending this, that, or maybe even 5%. And I think that was.
So they've taken the hyperbolic one.
Yeah.
That's sort of my understanding of it, but it could be that they actually just said, just do 5%.
I mean, even America doesn't spend that much.
Well, no, it's there, 3.38. Which, but to be fair, that's trillions, isn't it? Well, it's not quite trillions, but it's a lot.
I think it's about $1 trillion a year.
Hang on, that is $1 trillion. Oh, I'm thinking that. Yeah, I'm comparing it to our own GDP. They've got a massive GDP, don't they? Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's colossal.
Yeah.
That's one point. If Starmer can crash the economy, that our GDP starts decreasing, is this 2.5% actually going to be lower actual spending than what it is now?
There was a joke going around about that. It's like, you don't understand. Starmer's going to get to 3% by crashing the economy.
Yeah.
That's also how he's going to lift a load of people out of relative poverty, because everyone's money's going to go down. So the median wage goes down. So the level for relative poverty goes down. At present, the UK spends 2.3% of GDP on defence. Starmer said he would pay for the increase by reducing funding for overseas aid from 0.5% gross national income to 0.3% by 2027. I'd still just get rid of it. I know there's a few people on our side of Twitter who think it's a good thing because it got rid of AIDS and things like that, which is fair enough. But honestly, I think private philanthropy probably does a lot more than foreign aid, because foreign aid ends up just going to bribes usually.
Mm-hmm. A lot of this USAID stuff, they say
Rory Stewart gets $1 million of that.
Yeah, it's like 50 million on condoms or whatever. It's not, or some play. It's not all going to that. No. Yeah, a lot of it is just being bribes.
Yeah,
but it's listed as whatever, a gay play or something.
Classic. This is not an announcement that I am happy to make, he said. I am proud of our pioneering record on overseas development, and we will continue to play a key humanitarian role in Sudan, in Ukraine, in Gaza, tackling climate change, oh my god, supporting multinational efforts on global health, and challenges like vaccination. Those last two are fine, but tackling climate change... I think
we should definitely be vaccinating the rest of the world.
Yeah, I think people were saying, I don't know how true this is, but if the Chagos deal goes through and those billions go to Chagos, apparently that could count as the defence budget going up. I don't know how they manage that. Yeah, I don't. This is what I mean. Take it with a massive pinch of salt. But I just saw a few people that I find trustworthy talking about it on Twitter, but I don't know if it was just a hypothetical.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. That's the thing. But yeah, I'm not taking that at their word until I see something concrete from it. But also, annoyingly, I remember this picture, and I remember it looking. It does go hard. this picture of Starmer, it's definitely the best one of him.
That's why they love dressing up in army fatigues.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I know if I'm a candidate, I'd be like, right, I want to get as many pictures with the army as possible. I thought Trump was going to veto Chagos. He probably will. There's news of Chagos every other day. Until it goes through, assume it's not happening, is what I'd say, because there's no way Trump would allow it. Well, we've got an article on it later. Actually, we'll get back to it then.
Do we even do we actually have a good reason as to why we're doing the Chagos deal yet? Did anyone actually give a good reason?
Because some judge at the UN said we had to.
Yeah, that's all. I think Lammy's best way of they've got this idea that if you follow international law, you're a trustworthy country and you have better soft power, which is just stupid because Russia's ignored international law. Nobody's really got a much lesser opinion than they had of them 10 years ago. China ignore international law. Everyone still trades with them. So the idea of it is pure fantasy, but obviously they believe it, and you got to realise, what was that? What was it? Starmer said in that interview, like, do you prefer Westminster or Davos? And he just instantly said Davos. Yeah. So the guy's an internationalist through and through. So because international law said something, you can't work in British interests because that's too nationalistic. That's just, and so they'll do something they will literally chop off an arm because international law said so. It's like they're that crazy, and that's it.
But if it was just giving it away, that's one thing. But it's paying to give it away. It's just even more absurd.
And the bill keeps going up. But we'll get into it. Starmer said that our whole approach to national security must now change, with British industry, unis, businesses and people asked to play a bigger part. The first step to defence policy is if it keeps our country safe, he said, but the second should be if it improves the conditions of the British people. He promised to translate defence spending into British growth, jobs, skills and innovation, which, on defence, that is probably the best place to do it, to be fair. If you're going to centralise an economy, do it for a war economy, and it's pretty good for innovation, to be honest. Like 90%.
But it's not.
Recently.
Yeah.
It's going to be all sorts of crap that doesn't actually
Dude, I want to remind you, we made a literal laser cannon last year. So
but
let's be fair.
But I'm sure any new plans that Starmer cooks up aren't going to be laser cannons, are they?
Well, quite. Well, I would hope that Starmer doesn't really have much of a say on what actually goes on in the MOD, because the MOD's, there's woke areas of it, but as long as the Royal Marines...
the MOD is controlled by Parliament. They're not. They're sort of like, it's the Parliament branch of the military.
Yeah, but
it's not the actual fighting soldiers.
Yeah, but I don't think anyone in Parliament said make a laser cannon. I think they just made it. They researched it and made it. They'll say research and development this much budget, and then
that was
autonomous.
That was a private company. I think they got a bid for it. They bid for it.
Oh yeah, well that's how most government contracts work. So
yeah.
Anyway,
the only way Starmer is going to okay a laser cannon is if he can make more trannies with it.
I was going to say, does it shoot legal documentation for him to take to bed at night?
No, I'm thinking more. Does it? Is it good for surgery? These laser cannons.
Yeah.
You just aim it right. Bye, Mauritius barely have a navy. This, no more Mauritius until we get to the article. The Prime Minister concluded, at moments like this in our past, Britain has stood up to be counted. It has come together and it has demonstrated strength. That is what security of our country needs now, and it's what this government will deliver. Fine. Mm-hmm. It's not the worst. The problem is, as I say, is that a lot of it's fudging numbers, so intelligence services are now moving over to defence. So, again, what is it now? 2.3%? So it's 2.3% now. In fact, the graph below is better. 2.33%. So the intelligence services account for about 0.15% of GDP, so that already puts it up to 2.48. So they don't really need to actually spend that much more. They don't really need to budget for anything else. In fact, the 0.2% off foreign aid would probably do it. But yeah, anyway.
Is there anything stopping, say, like Russia or China, the second that we paid to give away these islands, Russia or China coming in and being like, yoink, thanks?
I mean, China
exactly?
already own Mauritius.
Well, okay, so China actually is a better example then. So they'll just come in and be like, yoink, thanks.
Basically, yeah.
Well, that's the worry with the lease, yeah. Well, this is why there was a senator in America saying Starmer put down the bong. Like, this doesn't make any sense from a geopolitical perspective, but they don't think in those terms.
We're gonna get into it though, aren't we?
Yeah. Well,
it's just it's just maximum Corbyn. But we won the argument.
Oh God, yeah. The problem with that is that Corbyn basically did win the argument because now we're pretty much the most communist the country's ever been. So yeah, Corbyn did actually win the argument. And we need to actually push that. This issue is that we've gone too Corbyn-Easter. Alright, you don't have free internet, but my God, imagine if we did.
Yeah, there's a problem. So many people think we're capitalist.
Oh, I know, it's nuts. Yeah. Rachel Reeves launches review into lavish government spending. It comes after analysis conducted by The Times at the weekend found that thousands of pounds have been spent on meals at private members' clubs and luxury goods. I mean, it always feels fake when Labour push a Doge type thing. It just never ever
while
feels authentic.
Increasing taxes.
Yeah, exactly. So this is something that everyone has a go at Reform for because Reform actually had a massive amount of spending promises. It's like, yeah, but you're ignoring all the savings that they're promising as well. And I know that was a rushed together contract because everyone was rushed that election. They were never expected to win. But you got to realise that savings you could probably actually drop taxes and actually get more bang for your buck from people when it comes to the public sector. But nobody wants to touch it with a barge pole because the unions are too powerful again. And Thatcher didn't go far enough and should have absolutely eviscerated them. Anyway, let's hope Reform do that instead. So Rachel Reeves has launched.
Was it you? Sorry, was it you that actually told me that what was it? The unions actually shut down more mines than Thatcher.
Labour did.
Oh no, Labour did. Sorry, Labour shut down more.
Oh, I keep saying it, and unironically we need Thatcherism again. But yeah, Thatcher has been blamed for a lot of things that she either didn't do, or if she did, she was not.
Did it worse.
Yeah, Labour did it worse. Yeah, that is kind of. Labour did a load of bad things and Thatcher got blamed for it, and that's basically how Labour still get votes these days. But nobody cares about the truth, do they?
No.
So I mean, while we're on it, it's like that graph I saw the other day of everyone says Thatcher deindustrialised Britain. No, Britain deindustrialised after World War II and actually had a trough at 1980. Thatcher gets in, it goes up a bit, and then stays that way until like the mid-90s, and then it drops again. Like Thatcher actually reindustrialised the country slightly, but idiots think she deindustrialised it because my coal mines. Anyway, so
I mean that, and also you don't need a war economy when the war is over.
Yeah. So
moving swiftly on.
Analysis conducted by The Times at the weekend found that thousands of pounds have been spent on meals at private members' clubs, crystal glasses, and the same as those used in Downton Abbey, and English sparkling wine. In opposition, Angela Rayner, the Deputy Prime Minister, criticised the Tories over similar spending. It accused them of scandalous catalogue of waste that showed the money was being frisked away across every part of government. And now Labour are doing the same thing. And again, probably actually worse.
Yeah.
It's a trend here.
Yeah. The Taxpayers Alliance pressure group accused Labour of hypocrisy and said that the party had failed to heed its own advice once it had taken power. The Tories said that it demonstrated extraordinary double standards. Reeves was infuriated.
Again, Tories, just shut up. You've got nothing you can say.
If the Tories are attacking Labour, I'm fine, but attack them for their hypocrisy at the same time, and then hopefully the Lib Dems will be beating them in the polls.
The problem is that again, it's just that it's always going to fall a bit flat, and I think that that's just the problem that we're seeing.
Yeah.
Well, Reeves was infuriated to discover that the spending had continued under Labour and has asked for a review of the use of government's procurement cards, including into who has accessed them and what they are used to purchase. Why doesn't she just do a... Well, I know why she doesn't do this, but she should just... Or Reform, when they get in, should do what Musk does and just send a mass email out, send an email back telling us the 5 things you did last week and accomplished. And yeah, anyone who doesn't send an email or can't send an email, they're fired. Just no ifs, no buts.
They are seething about that in America. It's so good.
It's so funny seeing journalists saying like, you know, oh, why are they doing this? This isn't normal in business. And absolutely everyone who's worked a day in their life says, what are you on about? We do this what do you think a timesheet is? You know?
Like, unironically, one of my boss, we're doing performance reviews, and my boss literally just pinged me, was it a month or so ago, to remind him of the things I worked on, literally for this reason.
Yeah.
So
well, yeah.
It's just like, no, this is not only standard practice. This is actually better because you can't improve what you don't measure.
Oh yeah.
So if a business isn't measuring performance, then there is actually no way to know if you are doing badly or if you're doing well.
Yeah, exactly. But the government has absolutely, well, the public sector have absolutely no incentive to do this because they get money no matter what.
Yeah.
I did see as well. I think somewhere in Britain the train drivers were striking somewhere again. I think that was happening, and it's like you just got given a pay package. What the hell? Yeah,
but more.
Yeah.
It's like that scene in Office Space where they got the 2 guys going, so what do you do here? Figuring out who they can fire.
Yeah,
it's always been that way.
I need to watch that film. So a Treasury
Is that the one with Chris Pratt?
Office Space.
I don't
Is that Chris
think
Pratt?
so.
It's
I don't think so.
Or am I thinking? I'm thinking of
early.
The Office, aren't I, or something else?
Yeah.
It's too early for Chris Pratt. That you might be thinking of Parks and Recs. A Treasury source said the Labour Party exposed that Conservatives in power presided over a scandalous catalogue of waste with government credit card misuse and taxpayer money frittered away. It's clear the Tory culture has persisted. Oof. A Labour government will not tolerate or allow taxpayers' money to be wasted on things or spent without effective oversight, the Chancellor has asked for urgent action be taken to get a grip on this as soon as possible. Foreign Office spent $2,400 at Cumbria Crystal, where a set of 4 Grasmere wine glasses costing £500 each. The luxury glass company founded by Lord and Lady Cavendish also supplied crystalware for the set of Downton Abbey. Why were they spending money on that?
I mean, at least it's supporting a British business.
Well, this is I don't mind the public, like, depending who it is. I don't mind the public sector having some luxuries, but £500 a glass.
And like, there should be any sort of state functions should be lavish.
Yeah,
we shouldn't look like a poor country
within reason.
And
but
things,
like internationally,
The thing is, assuming these are the glasses, I'm not being funny, but you could probably get similar ones. Maybe not as good a quality, but still.
I could get some. I could get some Chinese children to knock that out for a lot less.
Well, that's what I mean. You could have got them for 10 times less. I mean, I think you've always got to bear in mind is that this is peanuts to actual overall spending, but it's
maybe it's
annoying.
like you know like how gangsters will buy jewelry, like golden jewelry, because it won't be confiscated. Do you reckon that this is their way, like the politician way of doing that? It's like,
well,
rather than gold necklaces, it's like expensive glassware and silverware.
Jesus Fried Christ was having a little doomer moment on Harrian's Discord, and he was talking about I know he was talking
KFC. About. I need to have a chat with him.
He's talking about how politicians wouldn't support they just back whoever BlackRock and Vanguard tell them to.
Yeah.
But I have to point out, we're a poor country. They're not interested. BlackRock and Vanguard aren't interested in British backbenchers. So the best corruption that they can get is just overclaiming on expenses.
I mean, that is kind of true. Yeah.
So 1,400 was spent at the London department store Fortnum and Mason's. £600 on Chapeldown sparkling wine. Depends how many bottles, to be honest with you. You know, if they bought like 100 bottles for that, that's probably not too bad at £6 a bottle.
Yeah. That's
dependent. Yeah.
Like government budgets, £600. What is that?
That's peanuts, isn't it? Yeah. 741 on bespoke shoes. That's a bit strange, I would say. Who was buying bespoke shoes on the taxpayer dime? That's a bit odd, I would say. The sparkling wine, I don't.
Yeah.
Depending how much it was per bottle, I probably don't have too much issue with. Bespoke shoes? I don't know anyone who's bought bespoke shoes in their life.
I don't know. Are they like going bowling?
I'm
just
just
trying to think.
I
Custom
imagine
shoes, like
I imagine they were just like dinner shoes, like dinner suit shoes.
Yeah, there'll be fancy
shoes.
Savile Road type shoes.
Custom dinner shoes. Yeah,
Um,
that sounds petty enough.
So there were large entertaining bills at private members' clubs. So 2,240 at the British Club in Thailand. Okay.
Sorry, I just really want to clarify this to chat as well. I'm not a commie. I don't mind the idea of politicians having them. It's the fact that that all of this was expensed.
Oh,
yeah. If they paid for it themselves, I would have no problem whatsoever. I would say power to them.
Yeah, I mean, well.
But you're paying for this.
Yeah, so
you should be angry.
2,240 for the British Club in Thailand. Again, that should. Well, it depends. Like, I'm thinking, if you're in a private business, you can have an entertainment bill. I don't necessarily know how lavish this all is. 2,240. How many people was that?
I can speak to a tiny bit. Like if you're in medical, there are actually some really interesting loopholes. Apparently, there's one where you can't have certain functions in 5-star hotels, and so some hotels and some venues will just not put stars up.
Yeah.
To get part, right. Yeah, I've seen it. I won't go into detail because I don't want to get in trouble. But that was something I did learn in one of my previous lives.
So,
so there are ways to get around it and go lavish without it being on the books.
Oh sure. Well, this is an odd one. So Lammy's department spent £500,000 on restaurants and bars in the first 4 months of the Labour government. See, that sounds odd to me. That seems a bit much. It depends. I don't know how many people are in the Foreign Office department though.
Yeah, and there could be actual proper work being done at these restaurants and stuff.
But yeah, you can have working lunches. I mean, yeah. I put it whenever I actually have to go to the office, typically there is a entertainment bill paid for by the company to some extent, or by the boss.
You always get your stripper.
Always get a stripper. I'm always fed way too much alcohol. Yeah. So the venues where the money was spent were obscured in most cases, but half a million just seems like quite a lot in 4 months. How much is that per month? That's that's about 125,000 a month. That seems a bit excessive to me.
I mean, Kemi Badenoch goes and gets steak every day for lunch. Oh. That would be adding.
That's on her own dime though, as far as I'm aware.
Oh, bollocks.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, again, if you're paying for it yourself, then that's a.
She just say, this
I
is
fully endorse, but
yeah,
I do remember that story coming out from the Mirror, and they're like, "Oh, this eye-watering. She's getting a steak for 14 quid." I was like, 14 quid for a steak? Where was that? I'd go there daily.
It's like that's in London as well, isn't it?
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah, it was funny.
I mean, you'd be lucky to get like a beef sandwich for that.
Yeah, but I mean, point being of this entire article is, finally we're getting our own British Doge. Oh, it's saving peanuts from people who maybe should be paying for things personally instead. It's not really where the big issue is. Yeah.
Well, they're spending millions on drag shows and all this crap.
I wasn't even going to say that. I was just going to say, could you imagine Doge just dipping their toe into the NHS?
I
mean, maybe that can be for another stream, but I shudder to think.
I wouldn't even bother. I'd just say we're not even getting Doge. We're just selling it all off. Like, it can't be any worse, can it?
Yeah.
Anyway,
until we get sued afterwards for false advertising or something. Anyway,
yeah, Kemi Badenoch, UK may need to disengage from international court. Oh, finally, she says this. So Britain must be prepared to disengage from international courts and institutions that have been taken over by activists and autocratic regimes, Badenoch will say. The Tory leader will use the speech in central London on Tuesday to warn that Britain has been fooled into believing international law alone can keep the peace. She will highlight the International Court of Justice ruling that the UK should return the Chagos Islands to Mauritius. Oh, that's come up again. The islands are home to Diego Garcia. No, it's not an airbase. It's a navy base. I thought. Why would it be an airbase? It's not. It's not close enough to anything to be an airbase, is it?
No, they launch B-52 bombers from there.
Yeah, but I thought it was mostly a navy port.
Yeah, it is, but it's also got stuff for their long range bombers. It's got an airfield there.
All right, airbase is fine then. One of the international judges who ruled against Britain is a former Chinese government official who backed Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Yeah, and the lawyer also representing Mauritius was a British guy who's friends with Starmer. Yeah. Who's literally on camera. Who's literally on camera saying, "Oh, people are actually proud of me to actively represent against Britain. It's like Britain's a great country because I can do that and I'm welcome home as a hero." Yeah. And I'm like, if people understood what was going on here, you know, it wouldn't be nice.
In a previous life, he would have been hanged for treason.
Well, I was trying not to be that blatant to save us from non-crime hate incidents and what have you, but
well, no, I said in a previous life.
It's it's not my problem. It's not me they'll come after for that comment. She will also refer to a ruling from the ECHR that people have the right to be protected from negative effects of climate change on their health, well-being and quality of life, along obviously with the chicken nugget story, which which Farage brought up. Yeah, I mean, she's right, but it does kind of scream to why were you saying we need to stay in the ECHR a few months ago then?
Yeah.
She's turned on a dime because the party's dead in the water. The only people the only people in polls saying they're voting for it are people who are likely to be dead due to age by the next election. Kind of hate to say it, but they are
Biden voters. Yeah,
Biden vote. They're the only people who are going to bother. People who think they're the only people who are going to protect their pensions. It's nuts.
Does she have any? And this isn't actually supposed to be a pointed question, but does she have any? Does she have any talking points that aren't essentially already decided by reform?
That's a good question. Probably not.
Sandwiches aren't real food. That's not a reform policy.
Oh, that was crazy.
Wait, what? What?
She basically said she doesn't. I kind of hate to say it, but Kemi, I think they call it Kemi time or whatever. Like Kemi has her own time zone. She gets up quite late in the morning. Like there's been reports that she just doesn't do anything before noon. When it gets to noon, she's like, "Oh, I like a steak for lunch. I don't have sandwiches because I don't see sandwiches as real food." Like she said that like a month ago, and it was like I don't know what it is about Kemi. She can't help but be weird. Like she doesn't shut up about Nigeria. She says sandwiches are real food. Do you remember that time she said Halloween wasn't a thing in England in the 80s? And I was like, hang on, my brother and sister tell me all sorts of stories about Halloween in the 80s. It might have been 90s actually. It's like
it wasn't. I was going to say I can give benefit of the doubt that it's more American than it is English, but
it wasn't American Halloween. Yeah, it wasn't American Halloween, but it still existed. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it probably wasn't as big as it is now here. I'll give her that, but it was definitely a thing, at least in anecdotes I know. But I don't think she actually says. What does she actually say about the ECHR in it? Because I don't even think she says we need to leave it. It's only mentioned there. She doesn't even mention it in her quote. Great. Like, we need to be wary of it. Okay, you're going to leave it? No, that was Robert Jenrick's thing. Great.
Jenrick, it's almost like Jenrick's in the wrong party.
Yeah, it's nuts, isn't it? Mike Amesbury jailed for punching constituent.
No.
I did hear about this actually, yep.
So there he is, Mike Amesbury on the right. Boof! Just a random sucker punch. Like, it was something like completely. It wasn't even edgy. Yeah, it was an innocuous conversation they were having. I think the guy was complaining about a bridge toll. Yeah, it was like a bridge toll or something, or the bridge is damaged, and Mike Amesbury was just like, "Oh no, it isn't." So yeah, he's been jailed for 10 days. Suspended Labour MP jailed for 10 weeks after admitted to punching a man to the ground in his Cheshire constituency. Amesbury, 55, who represents Runcorn and Helsby, as an independent MP, pleaded guilty to assaulting a 45-year-old Paul Fellows after video footage emerged showing the confrontation. The Labour whip has been removed after the incident in Frodsham, Cheshire, which happened in the early hours of 26 October. Sitting at Chester Magistrates Crown Court, Deputy Chief Magistrate Tan Ikram said the pre-sentence report showed Amesbury's actions were the result of anger and a loss of emotional control. Amesbury was taken down to the cells immediately, and an application for bail pending an appeal was refused. Oof. Addressing the MP before handing down the jail term, the magistrate said, "I have to say that I have seen a single punch to the head cause fatal injuries, but note the limited injuries in this case. I know that you continue to punch Mr. Fellows when he was on the ground and continue to shout at Mr. Fellows. I consider this more culpable. You continue to attack when he was on the ground, and it may have continued further had a bystander not intervened."
The ground stuff's bad.
Yeah.
The ground stuff.
Well,
part of me respects a politician who will punch people.
Well, it depends. It depends what it is. Like, okay, like what's he called? John Prescott punching that guy for egging him. Totally reasonable.
That's funny.
Yeah. This guy punching him for complaining about a bridge. Like, what the hell? You spent your life in public service and served in high office. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. So he was handed his sentence. Following the sentencing, a Labour Party spokesman said, "The Labour Party took swift action following Amesbury's completely unacceptable actions, and he's no longer a Labour MP or a member of the Labour Party. It's right that Mr Amesbury pleaded guilty and has now been sentenced. Local residents in the Runcorn and Helsby constituency deserve better, and we look forward to them getting representation they deserve in the future with a new Labour MP." So, the voters in Amesbury constituency can remove the independent MP from his seat with a recall petition. This can be called if a sitting MP is convicted of an offence that leads to jail time or even a suspended sentence. More than 10% of voters must sign the petition in the Runcorn and Helmsley constituency for a by-election to be triggered. A recall petition will also be triggered if the House of Commons decides to suspend him for 10 sitting days or more. And so, yeah, Reform UK had this mobile billboard on a van going round the constituency saying, "Please sign our petition for the recall," and then maybe there'll be a by-election. And as far as I'm aware with the polls, I think Labour are slightly ahead of Reform by like 2 or 3%, so could be fairly close. And I imagine it's one that Reform are going to be massively pushing if it does go to a by-election. So there you go. That's what happened to that bad man. Get a graduate level job or go home, foreign students to be told. I kind of can't believe that's already not a rule. How is that not already a rule? That blows my mind. In fact, my mum has said this the other day. Like, why would any foreigner get a graduate level job in Britain? Like, if there are graduates who don't have jobs, like, it doesn't make sense. But
I mean, well, that's the point. Isn't these days a graduate job working in McDonald's?
It can be.
Yeah.
A famous.
So that's probably going to be supplied.
Well, quite a famous one is Aldi do a pretty good grad scheme, like one that actually pays you decent money. It like fast tracks you to manager. So you work on the shop floor for like a year and then you go to manager, something like that.
That sounds pretty good, actually.
It might be team leader then manager. I can't remember. I just remember seeing it.
I think they're one of the only. I think they're the only supermarket that's actually been growing in recent years.
I wouldn't be shocked. Well, they're very streamlined with their shops, aren't they?
Yeah.
No, the most they have is a bakery. They don't have all these counters like Sainsbury's and Tesco keep having, or the Yo Sushi.
Very German. Yeah.
Yeah, well, quite. Which is, you know, I'm gonna be sad to see Sainsbury's cafes go. Yeah, but
yeah.
On that notion, do we have any news on Germany in this segment this week?
No, that was the foreign bit, but we forgot about that. Yeah, AFD did okay.
Oh, yeah.
The Conservatives are winning. They're pivoting to the right. It's good. It's something to be white-pilled about.
Yeah, it's not something. It's not as far as we wanted, but it definitely is. It's definitely positive.
Well, I don't. I couldn't even really give you details on what ADF's policies were, and I don't think anyone can. So I have no idea if that's even true. If it's not as far as we want, I have no idea.
I think it's pretty similar to Reform, really. Get rid of legal immigrants and stuff. They want to leave the EU as well.
Pretty based.
Leaving the EU would be.
Yeah, but how much like Le Pen is it? Where the immigration stuff's pretty good, but all the economic stuff's crazy, like crazy left wing. Because
I
I
think
have
the
no idea.
Germans are a bit more sensible in that regard than the French.
But this is what I mean. A lot of people are basing what they see in Germany off of vibes, and when I look at like the CDC or whoever they are, the Conservative Christian Party, they're not Angela Merkel anymore, and they want to get away from that quite radically.
Oh, I think it's just optics. I don't think they've really changed.
I don't.
They just want to.
We will
They
have.
just want to look better.
We will have to wait and see. I would imagine they're not quite as bad as the Tories, where nobody believes them. But I don't know. I mean, we're commenting on a foreign election about a country I don't really have anecdotes for. So
I think the shift to at least the shift to Conservative is good.
Yeah, there's a shift to Conservative.
That we can say.
To AFD, yeah.
Really tricky for them though, because AFD only got about 20% of the vote, and no one wants to work with them. So they've basically got to win 50% to be in power by themselves.
Yeah. Well, it will be a coalition because it's PR, but we'll have to see what happens. Anyway.
Yeah, that's the problem. No one's going to work with. They're all sort of committed to never working with Reform. AFD.
Hang on. Brian Bell, the chairman of the Migration Advisory Committee, has previously said that graduate salary level could be defined as between £36,000 and £40,000 a year. What graduate schemes are these? And can you get me on one? What? I don't know anyone who got a graduate scheme on that salary. I don't know anyone on that salary. Maybe in London, actually, but that'd be at a push. Government sources said the bar would not be set that high, but suggested they would target careers in which salaries do not typically rise beyond a certain level after several years. The graduate visa is open to any international student who successfully finishes their course, including a 9-month master's degree. It gives permission to stay in the UK for 2 years or 3 years for those with a PhD without having to find a job.
Also, can we just point out that £36,000 is considered a really high bar?
Yeah.
Poor country.
America.
Poor country.
I said this in my video today. Like, I think it was. I'm trying to remember which podcast it was on. It's either Andrew Gold or Peter McCormack. So I can't remember whose it is. But they were talking about they've heard stories of like American companies hiring people over in Britain, and they like laugh at how cheaply they can hire people in Britain. We're effectively India for Britain, for America. Sorry. Like, that's kind of how I describe when they outsource over here. Like, loads of talent, but they can get us cheap. Like,
so it literally is like a daisy chain. So the best and brightest of us go to America, and then we have to import the best and brightest from, quote unquote.
Yeah, exactly. Grad schemes of soulless assessment centres. Oh, I know. And they're only really for big, conglomerate companies as well, which I would personally avoid. But yeah. Right, here we go. Mauritian PM urged to demand more Chagos money. It's just a never-ending joke.
I love the balls on this guy.
Well, I kind of love it.
The massive balls he's got.
Well, I found it really funny. I saw William the Bonker say on Twitter, like, why do they keep asking for more? And I'm like, if you knew every time you said no, you'd be promised £100 more, you'd say no forever. Yeah. It's so obvious that that's what's going to happen. So
how long before we start having to throw boroughs into the total war negotiating, or Bannerlord negotiating? It's like, I'll give you 3 of my keeps.
Yeah.
please take the islands. It's like, no. Okay, how about London? You can have London.
I don't know. It doesn't actually go into details on how much money he should ask for, but under the terms at the moment, Mauritius will be paid £90 million a year, rising with inflation for 99 years. And that's just for
it's
the
going
rent.
to be so livid when Trump comes in. It's just like, nah.
That's not even including the 18 billion we're just sending them in terms of foreign aid, just to sweeten the deal.
$2 billion pound black hole, just remember.
I'm sure if Trump says no, Starmer will still just give them the money.
Yeah, this. My brother said the other day when he was talking about coming on my channel in a couple of weeks, he's like, "Oh, how have you described me?" And I've said, "Well, you still think that Labour were the best choice and are better than the Tories?" And he said in reply to that, "Oh yeah, definitely." And I'm just reading this story and I'm thinking, how the hell can you think that? I can only assume he's not keeping up. I can only assume he's not keeping up on this properly.
Well, James Cleverly was the one who started this.
I don't think the Tories would be begging Mauritius to take our money along with the islands, though. I don't think they. I think they just give them away. I don't think they'd be paying them as well. That's what I imagine. That's and I can't. I don't even think the Tories would get that far, to be honest. Give them some credit. I don't think they'd literally give land away. But as in, they probably trade it. They probably say Mauritius, give us some money, but that'd be about as far as it gets. Anyway, involvement of BBC in Gaza film deeper than admitted. So yeah, this is the story of the BBC were going to broadcast a Gaza documentary about kids in Gaza, and it turns out that the 13-year-old who narrated it was the son of a Hamas diplomat or something like that. Just didn't bother to check who was making this film or anything. BBC faces a cover-up after a leaked document reportedly suggests it had regular updates with producers of a Gaza documentary whose narrator is linked to Hamas. The corporation was accused of bias in its reporting after the transmission last week of Gaza: How to Survive a War Zone, which followed I can't read that name. As he described life in the city during the Israel-Hamas conflict, it later emerged that Abdullah is the son of Ayman al-Yazuri, Hamas's Deputy Minister of Agriculture. How do you manage this?
Why do we need to know what it's like to live in a war zone?
Oh no! Don't get me. Don't get me wrong. It's like having a documentary on this is fine. It's just the problem here is that it's obviously Hamas propaganda, and I don't understand. Well, I do understand how the BBC have missed it. They have a terrible BBC Verify department. They don't verify anything. This is just proof of it. The contract between BBC and Hoyo suggests the broadcaster had regular involvement with production, according to reports in the Mail on Sunday. One extract from the document said, "We will address editorial compliance issues as they arise by having regular updates and phone calls with commissioning editor, and engage with safeguarding issues by consulting parents." Oh. So they must have known that the narrator's father was the Hamas head of agriculture.
Yeah. Walks in with the AK-47.
Yeah. Did you not think it was weird that he signed and then at the end of his signature there was an AK-47 drawn? Did that not raise suspicion? Another section said permission will be sought from the parents, guardians every time we film them. The producers will act and work as we would in the UK. Wherever possible, we will not film with unaccompanied children. We will seek permission from parents, guardians, non-governmental organisations responsible for children. How is this not just blatantly saying to the BBC, by the way, this is propaganda? They've effectively said there is we'll stage everything.
Also, the BBC saying that they treat children like they do here isn't a good
thing.
That's a fair point.
That's not a good standard, BBC.
Did you see that clip that came out from Jim will Fix It, where there was a kid sat next to some guy dressed as Chewbacca, and he's like, "Oh, he's got a feeling that there's something evil about." He's like, "Oh, what could be evil in here?" He's fucking Jimmy Savile. Yeah, so effectively the BBC, if they didn't know that this kid was the son of a Hamas, Hamas minister, and effectively the film was propaganda, what the hell were they doing? It's ridiculous. The BBC are just full of embarrassing scandals constantly now.
Yeah,
I can't believe they're still funded.
Yeah, I was going to say one of the latest ones was actually that baffled me was to hear that they were getting some of the American, was it USAID?
Yeah,
USAID, whatever.
Oh, I can.
And I'm just thinking,
I can totally believe.
So wait, so not only are you going to harass the British populace into paying for your absolute nonsense,
terrible stuff, yeah,
but also you're still going to. Does that also mean that they are not actually as because they're meant to be independent, aren't they? They're meant to be not
they're
able to be sort of.
They're not supposed to be propagandists for the government. Yeah,
I think this money was received through BBC Action or something, some group they sort of set up just to bypass all that.
Oh, okay, at least they bypassed it, properly and above board.
Yeah.
Anyway, civil servants, 3 days in office does not work for us. Oof. So the civil. I mean, I can't really complain. I work from home, but civil servants have complained that a rule requiring them to work in the office 3 days a week makes them less productive. Union bosses have attacked a culture of presenteeism in Whitehall after a survey of 7,000 staff found widespread dissatisfaction with rules designed to push civil servants back to the office. Most of those who responded felt the 3 day a week rule was harming productivity as they struggled to find space in overcrowded offices and spent their days doing online meetings they could have done from home. To be fair, I completely understand the online meeting thing, but
yeah, I completely get that as well.
Well, it's. I'm not being funny, but the public sector is renowned for being unproductive, and I'm not being funny. There's been no change since going back to the office and staying at home. So.
Yeah, this and also like they can't be trusted to work at home. You know, yourself maybe, but civil servants no.
Well,
they need an overseer whipping them constantly.
Well, I'll put it this way. I was in a group chat with a load of people in the civil service over COVID. Every single one of them during the day was talking about, you know, which games they were playing on the PS5 throughout the day. And you know, I'm not. You know, the thing is that, you know, if people are doing that in the private sector, it's the private company that's suffering from that.
Exactly.
If it's the public sector, it's our money that's paying them to be wasteful, and obviously a lot of people have an issue with that. So yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
the interesting topic that is coming up. The interesting topic that's coming up is the people that have got like multiple jobs, because it was something I
work from home. Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, I still don't know quite how I feel about it because, you know, in technically speaking, if you are extra productive, you probably could work 2 jobs, but it's I think it's one of those things that we just haven't been able to sort of come to a good conclusion on. I don't know.
I mean, I don't.
You know, as a society and whatever.
I mean, I don't really have a problem with it, but if you work for one company and then work for a direct competitor, there's probably a conflict of interest there. But if you like, you know,
I think it's it's because if you're paid a salary, you're essentially being paid like 8 hours a day, or whatever your contract is, and so then I guess if you're working a second job, then you're basically saying that you're only going to be working every 4 hours out of those 8.
Well, largely,
I think that's what the employers don't like.
Oh yeah, no, well yeah, your employers don't like that you're not spending. Clearly, if you have 2 jobs, you could actually be spending more of your time on their job. But the thing is, if you're doing all the work they're giving you in like 4 hours, why not get another job where you can do the other 4 hours?
Yeah.
Like if you're in software and a lot of your time spent waiting for tests to complete, why not get a job of data entry and do the data entry while those tests are being done? Something like that. And you know,
part of it I think is actually a bit of a. Oh, sorry.
No, go on. It's fine. Go on.
I was going to say I just think that part of it is a bit of a boomer mindset because I remember Trump talking about it and being like, oh, you know, these people they're already working on, you know, they're working like 3 jobs that just won't do. And I'm thinking, yeah, but like jobs can be done like that now. Maybe in the past, you know, if you worked at a steel factory, you can't exactly moonlight while you're at the steel factory.
Yeah.
Well, I think Trump was saying, talking about it wasn't extra. It was just a lot of people, Americans needing extra jobs just to survive, make their basic payments.
Yeah.
I was talking about the recent stuff where people were having like multiple, because they were working from home, they were apparently getting stuck doing, or they got caught doing multiple employments at the same time. I think this was separate to the fact that people have also needed, like especially in the private sector, people have needed to do multiple jobs just to make ends meet, which is also true. But I think that he was talking about specifically within the public.
Yeah, I don't know the recent one you're talking about.
Yeah,
maybe.
Feel free in chat to correct me if I am wrong, though.
Oh, there you go. Anyway, civil service are lazy. Who would have thunk? Starmer tells Trump peace can't be won if you shut out Ukraine. Is Trump gonna listen? Probably not. Oh yeah, trade talks.
I mean, America's is the one who have been funding Ukraine, so they're the ones who really have the final say in it.
Yeah, so I mean, I get it. I get that Ukraine have been the ones with the boots on the ground and losing all their men, but at the end of the day, this was a proxy war, so unlucky.
Yeah.
Trade talks with
the term like two wolves and a sheep arguing over who's for dinner. It's just like I'm sorry, but the sheep we feel empathetic towards the sheep, but the sheep ultimately does not get to choose who eats
Yeah.
them.
Well,
This is the reality of geopolitics.
yeah.
Accept it.
Yeah.
Trade talks with India to
I don't-
restart after visa disagreement. Just long story short on this, this was by far Liz Truss's weakest point. She was going to do a trade talk with India that involved a massive
they always
visa
do.
opening for it.
They always do. They sneaky little Indians.
So Jonathan Reynolds, being the secretary, is travelling to Delhi to hold talks with Piyush Goyal, the Indian Commerce Minister, in which he is expected to be a prelude to detailed negotiations. Long story short, exports. They want India to reduce the tariffs in return for a visa scheme, which is 50,000 Indians a year could be granted skilled work visas by the UK. At least it's skilled workers. Unfortunately, skilled workers can include carers. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Didn't Rishi already do some big Indian visa scheme?
They were planning on it. I don't know if
I'm
it went
sure
through.
I'm sure they did.
I know. I know.
So this will just be
Canada's had
more
one.
on top of that.
Yeah, I don't know where this whole idea of India's going to be this next big great economy comes from. It's just the
Have you
caste
looked
system.
at their streets?
Just the caste system alone stops that from being true because they keep any talent that's in those lower castes from getting anywhere decent.
It's one of those things where you know it was always a misnomer when during the when people talk about feminism, they're like, oh, I'll believe it when I see them complaining about the feminism in the Middle East, but you genuinely look at a lot of these cultures, and one of those things is the caste system, and the caste system is just out and out varying degrees of racist depending on how you want to describe it. And
yeah, I mean we can't tell, but they can tell which caste each one of them belongs to just by look, because of the
yeah.
It's
like the term, and that's the thing, just the term pariah. It was actually one of those words that we adopted into English, but pariah has a very it does come from, I think, the Indian word. I think it's just a one-to-one. Anyway, but let's carry on before I start going down.
Well, I mean,
etymology.
The only thing is, the 50,000 Indians a year on skilled work visas, and then ones that come over to study, they can stay in the country for 2 extra years. How's this going to reduce net immigration? Well, it's not. So I just sack off the trade deal, sack it off.
It's also interesting because India is always claiming superpower by 2030, yet all its plans seem to be getting Indians into foreign countries. We'd never do a trade deal and say, right, you've got to accept 100,000 British people a year can come to your country.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. Although I wouldn't mind one with Australia. Oh yes, woman visited by police after anti-Labour Facebook post. So these 2 police officers had to come to this door to tell this woman she had not committed a crime.
Yeah.
So detectives questioned Helen Jones about her calls for resignation of local councillor involved in a WhatsApp scandal. Jones, a school administrator, received a visit from Greater Manchester Police within 48 hours of the force receiving a complaint about her post. Officers said she had committed no crimes, but incredible. But Jones
So what are you doing there, buddy?
Exactly. This is not a crime. Why you're the police? Why are you here then? Actually, no. It goes straight into why. She said she felt intimidated into being silent online and would not post again. It was actually quite scary. It made me think I'd best just keep quiet for the rest of my life because you can't say anything these days. And then literally Nigel Farage literally said the same thing at CPAC, and all leftists were like, "Oh, you can say what you want. What's he on about? What does he want to say? Does he want to talk about killing people?" It's like, no, we've literally just had police at the door of someone for a non-crime. Can you not see that this is ridiculous? Good God, she looks like the type of person that will be on WhatsApp saying very, very, very edgy stuff, to be fair.
I bet she's lying.
Yeah. I asked the police officer, have I committed a crime? Why did you come to my door? And they said, someone has spoken to us about your social media posts. I then said, if I don't take your advice and continue doing what I am doing, will I be committing a crime? And he said, no, So then I asked, what will you do about it? And he said, there's not a lot we can do, we're just giving you advice. Madness. Again, people have pointed out this was happening while other crimes could have probably desperately needed to be stopped. Like they're coming to this woman's...
These were detectives, weren't they?
Just as plainclothes officers. I'm not sure if they were anything else.
I think I saw one thing that said they were detectives.
I doubt
Maybe
they'd send
not.
detectives out for this, but yeah.
But either way, yeah.
Yeah. But GMP has one of the highest crime rates in Britain. A spokesman said, "We spoke to the woman for 6 minutes to advise she was the subject of a complaint for harassment and to answer any questions she may have. No further action is necessary as no crime had been committed." Why? The police are... Unironically, the police are acting like Discord moderators. That's what the police are doing here.
God, imagine if they found her Discord posts.
Oh. But it's just like, what next? Are you going to have a department of the police that will call me up to tell me it's not going to rain tomorrow? Or that, hello, sir, I'm afraid you didn't win the lottery? Just... Are you going to tell me about all the other things that are also not true?
They kind of are doing that. Like they
Oh, no,
like
come on.
Well, with the they put out like health warnings whenever it's hot. Like the NHS health warning. Warning, it is hot out. Great.
Just like, oh, thanks. Good to know. Thank you. I didn't notice.
It's a point I saw as well on Twitter, actually. Like, if all they had to do was advise her she was a subject of a complaint and it wasn't a crime, why not send a letter? Or give her a phone call or an email or anything else?
That's not so threatening, though, is it?
Exactly. It's obvious why they're doing this, and it's to intimidate. It's also because they can write on their timesheet, "Oh, what have you done this week?" Yeah, intimidated that old lady. It's more for their stats anyway.
It's probably all. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a little bit of hope also that they can get her into saying something while they're there that they can then use against her.
Possibly, yeah. So, Trump aid freeze may force Stonewall to cut half of its staff. Just nuts, isn't it? It's just... Well, it's what...
Can America please accept that you are the baddies?
Yeah,
you have been the baddies this whole time.
It's what was said on...
Are we the baddies?
It's what was said on Twitter. It's like, all you Americans saying, "Why is Europe so cooked?" It was your government making us cooked.
I've seen Americans say, "Oh, all this woke stuff, it all starts in Europe." You paid for it.
It may have started in Europe, but you accelerated it in Europe from the looks of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, if you want to, depending on how far you want to go back, do you want to go back to, like, what is it? The French Revolution. Well, yes, okay, you can say that it started in Europe.
Oh, you have to go as far back as Rousseau. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
It's funny, the German elections. It's exactly along the east-west Germany line still.
Oh yeah.
East Germany went for AfD, whereas West Germany still got all the American gay psyop working on them.
It's fair to point out for the German elections that everywhere in Germany went anywhere from I think it was 6 to 8% towards AfD. So everywhere actually went right, to be fair, but it just wasn't good enough in West Germany because they're that cooked. Anyway, Stonewall could be forced to cut up to half its staff after President Trump's decision to freeze foreign aid, the Times understands. Workers at the LGBTQ+ charity were told on Thursday that restructuring would take place and that the only roles with dedicated funding would be safe. Simon Blake, the chief executive of Stonewall, made the announcement in an office-wide Teams call in which he said it has left its 114 staff shell-shocked. So they'll still be left with 60 people. There's still too many. Sources have said they believe up to half the workforce could be made redundant in the move, which they were told would secure the future of Stonewall for the long term as a significant LGBTQ+ organisation able to deliver impactful campaigns and legislative changes, blah de blah de blah de blah. Yeah.
Do you know what the death knell is going to be?
What?
When Stonewall go back to just LGBT. LGB. No, just LGB.
Oh yeah, LGB. Yeah,
that will be the death knell. first they're going to drop all the extra words, and then they're going to slowly just go back to when that happens. You know that the tides have fully turned.
Funding from the US came to Stonewall through the Global Equality Fund, administered by the US State Department, which gave the charity more than £500,000 over the past 3 years. My God. The GEF focus on advancing LGBTI rights around the world and is a pooled fund which contributes from numerous countries and private businesses but has not published accounts since 2015. How does that not raise alarm bells?
Yeah, you're right.
It's another thing that I just don't get. I'm hearing, like, you saw Kemi Badenoch on Twitter saying, "Oh, I'm glad this has stopped," but I'm thinking, are you not completely outraged that foreign interference was going into this particular charity that influenced every part of the civil service for the last decade? Is it not outrageous that the US State Department has partaken in this foreign interference? Just nuts.
I mean, remember the fuss America made about the idea that foreign governments might be interfering with their country?
Yeah.
But, you know, when it's the other way around, that's different.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, no, it's fine when we do it. That's power politics 101, I guess. As awful as it is to say.
What do you think the chances are that most of the people who are fired are the gay ones because they were the least productive?
No.
Well, it's weird, isn't it? Because it's saying here that Trump's decision would affect their work in Eastern Europe and the Caucasus, where it supports communities and law enforcement agencies in response to LGBTQ plus violence, often providing vital services to victims. So they're saying they're going to cut that bit that's actually useful in Eastern Europe, say, but not the bit that's pushing stuff onto the UK government. I would have thought that the US government pushing this would be okay with that bit. Not, I would have. Yeah, what am I trying to say? I would have thought that the US government is pushing for this to be put onto the UK government, obviously, to like keep us weak and waste resources, rather than say, "Oh, can you help out in Eastern Europe and save gay people over there?" Yeah,
it's almost like the international politics version of what was it? The oh damn it! I've lost it now. It's you know, like how. No, don't worry. Sorry, it completely left me. I will remember it probably 4 o'clock, and I will say it on Discord. There you go.
nice. Stonewall.
Nice. Yep.
Stonewall had also lost funding elsewhere. In most recent accounts, it has incurred a deficit of £858,000.
Oh, sorry, it came back to me now.
Fiscal year. Go on.
Sorry,
go on.
It came back to me. You know, like how we had the issue with the recruitment and stuff, and you know, the young men are toxic and all this stuff, and then suddenly they want us to all fight in a war.
Yes.
And suddenly I feel like that's the international politics version of what America has just had. It's just like, oh, we've kept England lame and gay, and now it's just like, oh wait, we need to fund NATO now, or you know, that kind of thing.
Well, it's the problem with having the two factions over in America fighting it out, I suppose. They both had different ideas of what they should be doing.
Yeah.
Still. So yeah, this rose from £437,000 the previous year. Income fees, for example, from its Diversity Champions Workplace Inclusion programme fell from 2023 to 2024, as did income from other programmes. The Times revealed last month that every major government department had left the Diversity Champion scheme after concerns about the level of influence on Whitehall's internal policies. And again, this was all set up by money from America, or largely from money from America. It also made 9 members of staff redundant in 2023 to 2024, but the charity raised more money in individual donations than from events in 2024. The amount brought from public bodies also increased to more than 600,000. Why is any public body giving them money? Oh, it's mad to me. But yeah, they'll still exist, but the fact that $500,000 went to them from US aid, just nuts. Just again, how is there not more outrage about that foreign interference? But it's America, so there are friendlies apparently. They're under Trump, to be fair. I like America under Trump. There, I said it. Right, that was pretty much everything I had. So, time we have. Ooh, we ended pretty much on time. Right. So, do subscribe to the channel, do like this video, and do leave comments. They massively help getting us in the algorithm.
There was another
go
bit
on.
of good news.
Oh, go on.
Kathleen Kennedy has been fired from LucasArts.
Oh, thank God
Oh,
for
I
that.
didn't hear about that.
Where
That's
I
actually
mean,
good news.
she's quitting this year, but I think really she's been fired,
Jump
and
before
they've
she's
told her,
shoved. Yeah.
you've got to go now.
Well, she has single-handedly ruined Star Wars for me, so as
Mhm.
far as I care, good. Right.
I doubt it's going to get any better though,
I don't.
because it's still Disney, and
Tharium.
Disney are very good
Tharium,
company.
how could it possibly not get better? How could it possibly not get
Oh,
better?
Why would you say that? Why would you even risk it?
Because now I'm really, really intrigued as to how it could possibly get worse. What
This
could
is
they
Disney.
do?
I
They'll
couldn't even
get-
think of how to get it worse.
This is Disney. They'll bring out the black disabled lesbian Muslim to run it now.
No, they're getting rid of Kathleen Kennedy because that would be her idea. Like, yeah, like her Cartman as her in South Park is her legacy. That is her legacy.
Yeah.
They are trying to get away from that. So let's be real. They can't make it worse. Anyway, as I was saying, videos on my channel out as and when I can make them. They're pretty much daily at this point though, so do take a look at that. Streaming on my channel, it's Laughing at the Guardian this Saturday, and half the panel's here because I'll have Tharium and Cero on, and we'll also have Jeg from the Worcester Club community as well. So I think it's going to be a pretty decent and laid back episode, because the episode after I'm getting John and my brother on, and I think it's going to get feisty. So there we go.
No, your brother is a precious flower.
No,
And
yeah,
I
but
agree with him. I agree with him. He's correct.
who's correct?
Your brother. It's
What
good
about
that we've got
Labour?
Labour in.
Labour are
'cause
better than Tories.
Labour being in is destroying Labour better than the Tories ever could.
Well, I can't wait.
You make a good point. I kind of wish it wouldn't. I wish they could destroy their party without also destroying the country. But I guess beggars can't be choosers.
Well, anyway, we can look forward to that in the mid-March. So there we go. On this channel, we were supposed to be finishing off the Peloponnesian Wars yesterday, but Jack was like, "Nah, can't be bothered." So we'll do it next week. And then it's Tosh Talks next week.
It's been 2 weeks he's done that.
Maybe, yeah. Well, the week before it was football, so we had more of a reason. But yeah, it's really annoying with Jack. He gets massive passion to do this stuff, and then he randomly loses it, and then he's got to get it back again when I'm just getting used to not bothering. But oh well.
I mean, how many episodes have you done? I mean, I love
It's 11.
like that 11 on just the Peloponnesian War.
11 on just the Peloponnesians, and it'll be the 12th, and that's the epilogue. So yeah, it's gone pretty well.
I mean, it's fascinating, but
yeah, but Jack's very autistic, as much as he said he wasn't today in the Discord.
based.
Anyway, yes.
I think he gets sort of bored of the same thing. He'd probably be better if it was like he got to jump around more, like he could do Napoleon this week, Rome this week.
Well, he organised it.
Oh, I know, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think he.
Anyway. Yeah. So hopefully we'll finish that off next week, and hopefully we'll have other seasons on the way. I imagine we'll take a hiatus after that, though. But yeah, Tosh Talks will be returning Tuesday. Do get any suggestions for topics in the Discord. I could imagine we're going to end up talking about Thatcher, to be honest, next time, but we'll see.
No, don't vote for that, please.
Why?
Oh, it's boring.
It's not boring. Well, we're going to be going through that that long Twitter thread by Miriam Kate, how she was like, "Oh, Thatcherism bad," and then talked about a load of things that had nothing to do with Thatcherism. Anyway.
We're going to be talking about Maltake's problems.
I'm not putting that on again.
Problems.
I'm not putting that.
Yes, you are.
I'm not putting it on until he finishes. Until he finishes the Peloponnesian Wars. That's the deal.
Oh.
Anyway. With that, I think that's everything. Yeah, join the Discord down below. Links to all of it there. Become a member as well. It's only a £5 or what. In fact, no, I think the cheapest one's £2. So there you go. Right. With that, that's everything we had for you for today. So once again, thank you very much for watching, And of course, thank you, chat, for being involved. Thank you, Tharium, and thank you, Cero, for joining me on the panel as well.
Welcome.
You're welcome.
There we go. And, well, I'll see you both Saturday. Right, with that, everything I have for you for today.